Ahoy ahoy to all you smooth sailors out there, and welcome aboard the DeckTales podcast. I'm your host and captain, Sammy Catlin, and this is the show where we set sail into the captivating world of ship life. Most of the time, delving into the best and worst experiences of the incredible crew members who called the open sea their workplace, but I'm open to the odd exception as well. Whether we're navigating stunning destinations to weathering unexpected storms, our guests all have stories to tell that will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even shed an unexpected tear. So if you're a seasoned cruiser eagerly awaiting your next embarkation, or just curious as to what goes on at sea, DeckTales is your boarding pass to a world of nautical narratives. This episode sadly rounds off season 1 of DeckTales, so I'd just like to say a big thank you to everyone who's been on the show so far, and to everyone who's been tuning in each week. My guest today will simply be known as Nate. This is due to some of the views he expressed about his current employer, so for his sake I thought it was better to remove all mention of them from the edit, as well as his surname. Nate worked with me on my final ship back in 2010 within guest services, and now he's rather bizarrely switched to the housekeeping department where he works as a cabin steward. I caught up with Nate for the first time in many years whilst he was back home in Bangkok between contracts. Again, like the last episode, this one also contains some sensitive subject matter, so listener discretion is advised. And for the final time this season, let's anchor up and have a little listen. Hello, Nate!
Hey Sam, what's up?
Oh, I'm good. Got a bit of a lag, but that's okay. So, how are you, Nate? It's been many, many years.
It's been so long. Everything's all good.
Do help me out, Nate, because I was trying to think. Obviously, I know which company we worked together for, but I only did 2 contracts with that company, and I was just trying to think which one it was. It was either Long Beach or it was either Tampa. Tampa, was it? So it was 2010.
Yeah, it was a small ship. It was, I think, either like a 3 or 4 day cruise.
Yeah, well, it was the Inspiration or the Ecstasy?
Inspiration.
It was definitely the Inspiration.
Inspiration. That was my second contract.
That was my second contract. What, your second contract ever?
Yeah, in the company, I did I worked for about 5 years. About 5 years with the company.
So you're not with them anymore?
No, I'm done.
You're done?
I'm with another company now.
Oh, okay. Better? Worse? Same?
Well, the thing is that my first company, I was working with guest services, and now my second company, I'm working as housekeeping.
You went from guest services to working in housekeeping?
Yep, it's a long story.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that then, I guess, because there's a few questions we're going to comb through. You're at home at the moment. You're between contracts in is it Bangkok?
Yeah, right now I'm on vacation right now. Yeah, I'm in Thailand in Bangkok.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just on vacation right now.
And it's the evening there. You're ahead of me by, what is it, 8 hours?
It is now like 9:30 p.m.
Oh, 6 hours. Yeah. So
that's 6 hour difference.
Yes, 3:30 p.m. But my God, it is what's the word? It's very humid over here at the moment. How's Trix back in Thailand?
Well, it's actually the rainy season right now, although it's still bloody hot here. But yeah, it is pretty humid as well.
What's the height of your heat? What's the hottest it gets there?
During the Thai New Year, which is in April, maybe 46, I think it was.
Ouch. Yeah, that's pretty high. And then what is it now?
Right now it's like 30, maybe 34. I mean, it still feels bloody hot anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that is bloody hot. That would be hot, by anyone's standards. But so you've been working, if back then when I met you was 2010, and you're still working, obviously, quick maths, it's basically been 14 years. You're still in the industry. Are you in housekeeping still?
Yeah, I just came back from my second contract as housekeeping. They're like the worst fucking cruise ship company ever.
Really?
But yeah. They're more into numbers rather than, crew well-being, things like that,
I think that's the majority of them though, Nate. I'm not really obviously in the industry anymore since 2010, but yeah, a lot of people obviously have a very mixed bag in terms of their own experiences for different companies. Some are better than others, obviously, but yeah, It's always interesting to hear from different people and their different perspectives of different companies over the years, whether it be past or present. So let's dive
Mhm.
into some of your experiences. You said you started off at guest relations and now you're
Yeah.
working in housekeeping. So over a 14-year period, you only did how many years as reception or guest services?
So I spent 5 years with the first company. I came back, I took a bit of a break, started working back on land. COVID kicked in.
Mm.
After COVID, I saw another company were hiring. I applied, and then next thing you know, I'm on a ship, scrubbing toilets and making beds. So
And was it like a thought process, kind of like, oh, I don't want to go down pay grade or down a position of like in terms of status? You were just wanting to get away and go and work on board again, no matter where it was.
well, originally I applied for guest services, but the agency I applied for, basically they're more interested in just getting people on board as quickly as possible.
Mm.
I mean, I think it has something to do with money. The more people you send, the more commission they get. So yeah, I don't have much of a choice, but I need to work. I need to go back to work, as soon as possible. So whatever, I just went back to that company, the second company, working housekeeping. Zero knowledge, zero skills, zero experience in housekeeping, but yep, I already passed two contracts already.
Mm. And was it a sizable pay cut or not much difference?
Compared to guest services, it's more than double than
Well,
what I get with guest services.
oh, but sorry, you get paid more as a cleaner,
Yep, literally more than double than what I would have earned with guest services.
but then you could argue it's like more than double the work.
Obviously, yeah. Guest
Mm.
services, I think at the very most I would work like maybe six hours a day, whereas housekeeping, I'm off from like 6 in the morning up until like around 2 o'clock in the afternoon for break, back again at 5 o'clock, and then I'm done by around 9 p.m. So that's pretty much my whole day, every
Yeah,
day for 9 months.
yeah. Wow. Are you paid in what's the, I don't even know, sorry to be ignorant. The currency of Thailand is baht?
It's Thai baht, correct.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's save myself there. So do you get paid
Yeah.
in baht or do you get paid in dollars? How does it work with the exchange rate?
That is same as the salary is in US dollars.
Right, yeah. Most of the time, isn't it?
Yeah, since it's an American company, so it makes sense to pay you in US dollars.
Yeah, of course. And where did you just come back from out of interest?
I signed off in Vancouver, Canada.
How was your experience of Vancouver? What did you think of it?
Freezing cold.
Is it?
It is absolutely freezing cold.
Yeah.
I mean, the route that we were taking was Vancouver, and then we went into to Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely
Sub-zero.
gorgeous, like, really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Sub-zero, but it's just absolutely beautiful, gorgeous.
Yeah. No, it's on my bucket list, man. And I guess, that is the thing, isn't it? That's the reason, in a sense, that you're willing to put up with the extra hours, the extra hard work, because you know you're going to get to go and see these places, and in a sense, you're going to be paid to go and see these places.
Well, the thing is that when you work housekeeping, you don't have much time to do anything because you're
Yes.
always like in somebody's cabin, another person's cabin. So by the only time I'm actually free is when I sneak off for a cigarette. That's pretty much it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to these places and you can only really get a glimpse of it from the sidelines whilst on board as you're having a cigarette.
Yeah. So basically, the only time that I can actually see land is through the window because on this company, the ships, the smoking area for crew is indoor. It's not outdoor. It's indoor.
What? That's weird. Why would they not put it outside like normal? Like obviously they.
I don't know. Back when you and I were on the same ship, the smoking area was at the front of the ship, where
Yeah.
all the little after parties would happen. But on this company, smoking area is actually indoors. I mean, technically there is an outdoor smoking area,
For the
but
guests.
that's for the officers and the guests as well.
Mm. Okay, that's a weird one. I've not heard of an only indoor smoking area. Is it kind of like, I don't know, they're trying to shield the crew from the guests' eyes so that they don't see them smoking? Is that
I don't know
some?
because, like I said, officers can go out and smoke in guests. I mean, there's like a designated area, for crew smoking outdoors. But like I said, it's for those officers. So basically, you need to have stripes to have a
Yeah.
cigarette outdoor.
Do. Is there a favorite ship that you've got over the years and a least favorite?
My favorite ship was the Magic.
The Magic, which is because it's made of magic. It's the itinerary, the crew, destinations and stuff.
Uh, Pretty much everything from day one. I mean, other than the actual experience of working on the Magic, I believe I was personally responsible for many, many changes to the company's policies because of me. I mean, it started off with me just arriving into America. I flew from Thailand, made it to Miami.
Mm.
The Magic was out of Galveston in Texas back then. And then when I arrived on a Saturday, because I remember the ship leaves on a Sunday. So I would arrive on a Saturday afternoon, sleep one night, and then leave on Sunday morning. And then usually you probably know that when you arrive at the hotel, when you check in, next to the counter, there'll be like a little small counter where you look for your name. If your name is there, it will show you know what time's your pickup or the necessary information.
Mm.
For me, it just said take the bus to the airport. It didn't say what kind of bus was it, the ship's bus or there's no information. And then I don't know why it needed me to go to the airport because I don't have like a ticket, you know, to go to Texas Galveston.
Mm.
So the next morning I go, I wait in the lobby. I see other crew members, you know, they're being picked up already. I'm like, okay, I've been waiting since 8:30. It's now like almost 10 o'clock already. I'm like, okay, this doesn't look too good. So I'm like looking back at the manifest. I'm like, okay, it says take the bus to the airport. But I'm thinking, you know, I don't have a ticket, I have nothing. So in the end, I called Carnival, you know, using like a shitload of quarters, like just because, of course, like any company, please hold while we put you through to blah blah blah.
Mm.
So anyway, finally got in touch with somebody. He said, well, Nate, it's like almost 10:30, so you're not gonna make it on time. Your flight is already, you know, taken off already. Like, well, I don't have a ticket. I don't have an email, I have nothing. And so in the end, all right, Nate, just stay there, and then we're gonna send you a ticket. Okay, so you're flying out on Wednesday. This is Sunday, so I'm like 3 days to do absolute fuck all in Miami.
That's not a bad thing, is it?
That's actually not a bad thing, actually. Mhm. So anyway, they had to change the policy now that basically the information that they give to all crew members, it will be like literally like idiot proof. So if you miss your flight and you need to stay an extra few nights, that's out of your pocket.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's my fault. Well, apparently it's my fault because they didn't give a good explanation about what I need to do.
But so is the
And
policy
here's the funny thing.
changed?
Yeah, it's changed now for everybody. So if you miss your flight or you somehow fuck up, then basically it means that, you know, you need to pay for the additional nights. And here's the thing. Wednesday, I left the hotel, went to the airport, and he said, oh, Nate, your ticket's not valid. What do you mean it's not valid? Well, your job letter is out of date, is expired. So go back to the hotel, stay another night. In total, I spent like about maybe 5 nights in Miami.
You might as well have gotten a job
Mhm.
there, mate.
Yeah.
Doing something else. So you were what was you how are you killing time for 5 days in Miami? Were you just walking around the
Went
town?
out, went out to Long Beach, went out to Long Beach. I mean, there was some other crew members I was hanging out with, you know.
Hmm.
So that's pretty much. I mean, plus, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner was, you know, all thrown in, so I'm not paying for anything.
Oh, that's all right. Was there a least favorite? Because well, that was your favorite ship. They just had a bad start with regards to joining it. Was there a least favorite ship?
Least favorite ship, least favorite ship. I don't know because like all ships, even though no matter how bad the overall situation was like, you know, it's like I kind of overcame it and it became like a good experience to me.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to be really one bad ship, it had to be the inspiration where you and I won.
Oh, really?
Were you? There's one time where the ship was like the waves were so bad that the ship couldn't dock. Were you on board at the time?
Was this when there was a leak?
No, no, not leak. Basically, the we were coming back into port, which I don't remember what the home port was, but basically the current was so like choppy that the ship couldn't dock. So basically, we arrived in like around 6 p.m. Normally we get in like around 6 a.m., but we got in like around 6 p.m.
Yeah, well, I remember one day when we was delayed by fog or something, and we had to basically draw up a quick
Yeah,
emergency
yeah, the fog,
entertainment
fog
program
too.
because of all the guests obviously being stuck on board. It was the disembark day as well, I think. I can't remember. I think I drew the straw to host a quiz of mine that I'd stolen from another company, which I really loved.
Okay.
But I got to perform it in the main show lounge, and because everyone was on board, I had a full lounge. What do you call it? Theatre. I had a full theatre for a quiz, which is unheard of.
Okay.
It was a great vibe, and just for the the questions I was asking, Nate, it was kind of like I called it a twiz with a quist, and basically the questions when you ask them, they make you think of something, and you immediately write that down, but it's the wrong answer, so you have to really kind of think differently. Like, what is a Shih Tzu?
Okay.
Do you know this
Shih
question?
Tzu.
Yeah, what is a Shih Tzu?
Isn't that a dog?
Well, that's everyone goes, yeah, it's a breed of dog. But the answer is It's a zoo with no animals.
Shih Tzu.
Yeah. Anyway, so you were talking about that, and I've just gone off on a tangent. Carry on.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the inspiration has to be probably. I mean, outboard shift. The inspiration had. Yeah. I would probably say that it's probably the worst shift for me. But like I said, overall, it's not really that bad. But like I said, if you want me to pick the worst out of all the ships I've been on, it has to be the inspiration.
Mm. And that was because of me. I hate to be the guy that was in, some way linked to the worst
No, most
experience.
most. I mean, overall, I mean, management were okay. Is mainly because usually when you have like a shorter cruise, like 3, 4 day cruise, overall the quality of the passengers tend to be not as good, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, please elaborate.
Well, pretty much a carnival, like I said, is like usually the longer the cruise, the better the quality of the passengers. Whereas, of course, the shorter the cruise, the cheaper overall quality of the passengers are.
Yeah, the booze cruise.
I remember like there's like so many guests who, I mean, back, I mean, I don't know now, but back then, gratuity tipping was added to all the passengers' overall onboard expenses. And then, like most people would, just ask, when they come on board, is it possible if I can remove my gratuities? I would like to, tip my own, blah, 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 this and that. Okay, sounds well spoken. Whereas some of the guests are like, the very moment they come on board like, vicious, why did you put, it's like, dude, take it easy, yeah? I'm just doing my fucking job, okay? Just, just
They see
take one
the
step
name.
back.
They see the name badge, and you're a target.
I don't know. Maybe it's just not a name badge. Maybe it's just a uniform. Maybe just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just my lucky day. I don't know.
You've got obviously well, I was going to say your English pronunciation is like impeccable. Where did you pick that up? Is that from all the years working on board, or have you lived over somewhere else?
Mm. Well, I was born in London.
Were you?
Yeah, I lived in London pretty much most of my teens
I never
up
knew
until
that.
like around the accent they catch you. Anyway, yeah. No, I was born in London back in 1980. So I survived through most of the 80s, 90s, up until I was about to start university. But then my parents convinced me to go and study back in Thailand, which was a very bad choice for me in terms of like faculty choices, universities. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about university in Thailand, but they don't have the things that I want. A lot of universities back then, a lot of it is to do with things like business studies, law. You know, if you want to stereotype, the things that all the Asian fathers like their children to, become lawyers, doctors, if you want to call it like that. For me, I wasn't into that kind of stuff. I was more into things like design, that's something that I really like, arts and things like that. They had that in Thailand, but it's just like so outdated, you know.
Yeah.
Most designers would use computers, things like that. But then back in the day, I mean, as of now, universities here in Thailand is actually, it's like really modern,
Hmm.
really, really modern. But then back in the day, it was like really, really old fashioned. So anyway, so yeah, I was in the UK overall for like 20 years.
That's why your accent is obviously as it is.
Yeah.
The racism that you see on board, though, sometimes when it's like, hey, I want to speak to somebody English or somebody who speaks American. Do you ever get that?
I've never had that where somebody wants to speak to somebody who doesn't, because with how I look. In fact, many times they would actually call me when a guest is complaining to another of my colleagues and say, I want to speak to your supervisor. I
That's what
said,
I mean.
Nate, can you come in? I said, yep. They call me and then I would talk it over.
Mm.
So no, never actually had any
No,
racial
yeah,
or profiling or any discrimination.
I didn't mean necessarily directed at you, but because you're on the front line, you must have seen a lot of it, which you have.
Um, there's one I don't know if I should laugh about this one, but I was on the Triumph
Mm.
and one of my supervisor was from South Africa. Now you probably know that South Africa has a very strong accent. I don't have to do a South African accent, so I'm not going to attempt to do it.
Okay.
But anyway, one of my colleagues was in a bit of a situation with a guest. Guest was unhappy, blah blah blah, 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 whatever. And then, all right, I'll call my supervisor. So she goes, calls this supervisor from South Africa. She starts talking to the guest with a very, very strong South African accent. When she finished talking to the guest goes, she like looks kind of confused. And then she's like, can I speak to somebody who speaks English? He's like, oh, oh.
Yeah, these South
It's like,
Africans, these South Africans need to do better, Nate. The accent is a bit like, well, when it's a strong accent, it can come across, and if it's like any accent, if it's spoken with pace and it's quick, it's harder to understand. I had it drilled into me from an early age that I was speaking too rapidly, and I had to take what's known as elocution lessons just to learn to slow down because I was just incomprehensible.
me too.
Yeah, and so
Me
I
too.
get
I used to speak so fast.
mm.
I would speak so fast, so like to a point that sometimes even I don't understand what I'm saying. So just did a few YouTube search and how to speak more pronounced, like certain words, how in other words, how to speak more clearly,
Yeah,
you know.
that's it.
On the Dream, if I'm not mistaken, the Dream.
Mm.
Okay, what happened was this. There was an Indonesian chef who found out that his wife was cheating on him back at home. I think he found out on the day that we arrived in the home port on embarkation day.
Mm.
So he went to the MSA, that's the crew office downstairs. Whatever it took, he wanted to go home, but then they wouldn't let him because it was really late. There's no time to do documents, to book tickets. So he went back to his cabin thinking, his wife is cheating on him. The office won't let him go home. So he took matters into his own hands and took a knife and got himself.
So they had no choice to send him back.
So in his cabin, he decided to gut himself
Right.
and then realized that shit, I did something wrong. So he ran from his cabin to the infirmary with his guts in his hands,
Oh,
cradling, his intestines. So it was only when the medical response announcement was made that I went down to see what's happening. And then I see there's a lot of people standing around some chef who's laying on the floor with his guts hanging out. I was thinking, okay, this is not something that you usually see. I know chefs are involved in a lot of, cutting meat, but this is not the kind of meat you want to,
no.
So I was kind of off with meat for like a few days, I became a vegetarian for a few days.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Mhm.
Oh, that's so drastic as well. Like, oh, he was trying to get like basically signed off of work with an injury, so they had no choice but to send him home. But it went wrong.
Well, I think they sent him to hospital first.
Yeah.
They sent him to hospital to get, stitched up, I guess. And then he was charged for like self-harm, something like that. I'm not sure exactly what the full story was, but he didn't go home straight away. So let's
No.
just say that, yeah.
And I just find that quite immediate. Like, obviously, they charged him with self-harm, so they knew that he'd done it. It wasn't like it was a
Mhm.
secret or he could lie
No, no,
about
no.
it and say that somebody else did it because then there would need to be someone to put the blame
You need
on.
witnesses. You need.
Yeah, and there's cameras
Mhm.
everywhere, so there was no alibi to back up the story. It all came back down on his shoulders. What about you, Nate? Have you ever
Yeah.
had anyone stick a knife in you on board, or have you sustained any sort of injury whilst at sea?
Actually, not see anything ever happened to me was actually on land. During, I don't know if on embarkation, if you ever got the chance to actually get off the ship. Usually when I'm done, when I'm off duty, I'll actually go off the ship to go to either Walmart to do some groceries, or number two, I would actually go to the Filipino shops,
Hmm.
because usually they have this good Wi-Fi. There was one time I was on the van because they had like a free pickup from the port to their little Filipino shop.
Oh yeah, the shuttle.
And then yeah, it's like a van.
Oh,
And if you remember the van, the doors they open like that.
like saloon doors.
I mean, I don't know, vans back in UK or even in Thailand, usually the door would slide open, right?
Yeah,
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 basically the doors. Yeah, you have to drive. The driver, his door would open, and the passenger, the door would open like that. It's like a double door that opens like that.
yeah. I think I remember.
So what happened was, as the door would open, one door had to come back, and then I jumped out, and somehow I managed to whack my knee straight into the door, and I broke my kneecap.
What? This is at the Filipino, was it internet shop?
Yeah, it's at the Filipino shop.
Yeah.
So I jumped out of the van, but then somehow the door was closing as I was jumping out, and I whacked my knee straight into the door.
Oh,
So I didn't actually realize that my kneecap was actually broken. It just felt numb. for like a few days.
Mm.
It was only that once it started to, starting to heal up, that I looked at my knee and actually, they're not equal anymore now. Like one's slightly bigger than the other.
So you were working through the pain, stood up on your on your feet for the 6 hours a day you were working
Yep.
with a broken knee.
With a
Soldiering
broken
on,
knee.
mate. Soldiering on. You're technically, well, yeah, you're the first housekeeper that's come on to DeckTales. So you must have seen and caught a lot of guests in some compromising positions.
Okay, well, let's just say that I've done 2 contracts as housekeeping, and so far I have removed about 10 dead bodies
Wow. In 2 contracts.
in 2 contracts, 10
That's
dead
not
bodies.
that's not the kind of compromising position I was hinting at.
All right, if you want to talk about housekeeping, housekeeper's point of view, yeah. The shit on the wall, shit on the ceiling, that thing, yeah, that's pretty much a normal thing.
Really? Why? Well,
But
why do people come and do that? Because I could never do that. I couldn't understand the kind of person that could do that, knowing that somebody else's job is to come and clean up your shit. Why would you make their life
and these
harder?
are adults here. This is not like children. If kids are, in the cabin, that would I can understand, even though that I'd be like, how the fuck are you raising your children? But these are all adults, these are like all grown ass adults, But I'm just doing my job, They leave
Of the
shit, I have to clean up the shit behind.
of the 10 bodies that you found, Nate, did you find out the
Mhm.
cause of death for any of them, or was it pretty obvious? Or
Okay, out of the 10, 3 were crew members. The crew members, believe it or not, was cause of death was suicide
shit, no way. So wait, you're housekeeping for crew cabins
as well. Yeah.
as well. So you're doing half and half, or is it pretty what?
Yeah. I mean, as of now, my position, I'm just doing the crew cabins, but every now and then I would ask, the cabin stewards, who are doing the guest rooms, I would ask, maybe can I get some training, some little cross training, practicing on doing the guest cabins. So maybe someday they might promote me to, to become, a natural stateroom steward.
Stateroom steward. So that's
And then,
that's the pecking order. You start at the bottom, work your way up, literally.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Mm. So you found crew members in their cabins. You said a few of them, 3, had committed suicide.
3. Mhm.
Oh God. No note, no nothing on like the walls or anything to go by.
Um, well, when you come to do the cabin, knock, 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 housekeeping, knock, 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 ching, hello, morning. You open the door, and then you see this guy's hanging from the ceiling, around his neck.
Mm.
There's nothing you can think. It's like you open the door and you see like this body's hanging there. Like his face is completely lifeless. Is pale already. Like, you can tell he's been up there for like a few hours already. And there's like, I'm thinking, okay, I'm just gonna close the door and go call somebody because I'm not signed up for this shit.
Yeah.
Thing happens, no problem. But I'm not cleaning up bodies. Come on.
No, you're not earning enough money for that. Well, I don't
Mhm.
know who is, but it's not within your remit, is it, to be dealing with that
Yes,
sort of
let-
thing?
let's say it's not in my job description to be, you know, cleaning up bodies. Body fluids, yes, no problem. But bodies, no.
Body fluids, okay, no problem. No bodies, please. Did you
Yeah,
walk in on anybody? Oh, because you're dealing with just exclusively crew cabins most of the time.
yeah.
So you said there's 3 of the 10 bodies you found, 3 were suicides. The other 7 were just natural causes. You don't know.
Yeah, mostly. The others are, I guess, mostly just like heart attacks, heart failure. Because most of the guests are they're really like in their 50s, 60s. They're pretty old and very unhealthy. They're really like either their wives is like saying, "Oh, my husband is not breathing." It's all right. Have a look. All right. Just call 911, and then I just report it. There's a guest whose husband's not breathing, need medical assistance immediately. So in about 2 minutes, medical team comes up, security comes up, a few head of departments comes up, and then the whole area is completely blocked off, and then next thing you know, I'm doing reports and saying, since I'm the first person on the scene, I need to, report, exactly what happened at what time, this and that.
Mm.
So yeah, that's pretty much my job as housekeeping, just to
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to
put up
think.
dead bodies.
With regards to that, it's not like there's a policy in place where obviously, like, for example, if you're a train driver and you are driving a train at full speed and a person jumps out and splatters all over your windshield, there are policies in place to have that train driver signed off for the rest of his life on paid leave because of the traumas he's induced because of that incident. But not just one, I think it's a couple, right? You've only
Yeah,
done two contracts and you found 10 dead bodies. That must be some
already.
kind of that must be some kind of a record. I just don't know. We'd have to get a poll going in the comments or something on something like this because I'd be interested to know who could top that. Certainly, I never found any because I wasn't in any
If all right,
cabin.
if I was able to compare before when I was working with Carnival, I could probably count how many guest related, death there were throughout 5 years I was with Carnival. But then, with only two contracts, 10 deaths already.
I remember seeing on one of the ships that we had a couple of Amish guests, and I'd never seen anybody Amish before, and I just thought, what the hell are they doing on a cruise ship? It's like kind of almost against their core belief system, isn't it? That they kind of work and live in communities where everything's man-made and reliant on, natural resources, no tech,
Pretty
no
much
nothing.
zero, pretty much zero technology.
Yeah. So why are they on a ship? Have they got a free pass? Did you see them?
I guess so, maybe. I don't know. I never saw
It was
them. No,
it was one of those ones where I was
that's the
just a
funny
bit
thing. I
like,
never saw them.
yeah, yeah, no, it was an anomaly to see them in that environment. Let's spice things up a bit, Nate.
Yeah.
Let's go into a bit more personal stories. Were there any forbidden
Okay.
romances? Yeah, that sort of thing.
There was a lot. I mean, I don't want to go too much because most of the partners, if you like, they've already advanced in life. They have family, they have children already. So I'd rather not embarrass them or bring back the past.
No, of course not. You don't have to embarrass anybody. I was just asking because it could have been a nice moment or an anecdote to share. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, then I'm not going to force you. Forbidden romances is a broad question. It can mean was there like a an altercation with a passenger? Was there like you said about the chef whose wife was cheating on him? People have relationships with people on board who have got partners back home. I'm guessing that you weren't, well, were you with somebody that had that going on?
Back, well, actually, when I was on board, yeah, I was dating somebody. She was actually the one who introduced me to cruise ships. She had started working on cruise ships, much before I did. It was only that when I was working back on land that I was working in a hotel and I was hoping I would get promoted to become like the front office manager. But that didn't work out. So I kind of felt like, the company that I'd worked before for like almost 10 years and like stabbed me in the back. So I thought, all right, my ex back then said, come work on ships, you'll be more happier. So, all right, fine. I just took the plunge and then been happy ever since.
No going back now. So you don't
Um,
see the end,
yeah.
there's no end goal or like, there's no way you give up what you'd started at this point. You feel like you've made your bed, you're going to sleep in it for the rest of your life, or is there anything else that you want to do?
I mean, for me, working cruise ships, I mean, whether you're working 6 hours a day or 16 hours a day, at the end of the day, it's all about the paycheck. That's all it
Mm,
is.
yeah. Well, not on
Now you can
DeckTales.
choose to keep doing this kind of work for the next, yeah. No, but when you work on cruise ships, it's up to you if you want to, keep working for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You know, the purpose you work on cruise ship is for the money. I mean, sure, you get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I want to work on cruise ship because I want to go traveling, I want to meet lots of people, blah 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 blah." After one contract, it changes completely. All the things that you want to do is it goes right out the window. You know, you don't care about other people, you don't care about places, you don't care about this and that. All you want to do is just come and get your paycheck. That's it. Just work and get your money. That's all you want to do.
With the current company you're working for, obviously you've gone and taken a half a pay cut to do more work. Are you happier in that arrangement, or
Yeah,
would you prefer to go back to the job that you did have on the guest relations desk?
I'll be honest, I wish I could go back.
You do. Yeah.
I mean, for me, no matter how much money I get paid, if you get paid a lot but you're not happy, then it's going to be 9 months of torment. You know, you're not
Yeah.
going to be healthy. You're not going to be healthy both physically and mentally.
No. No.
You know,
And you have to be the boss of that in terms of knowing when to cut it. Because if you overdo it and then you hurt yourself, or then your mental health is severely affected, then it's all going to start snowballing and going downhill from there. We haven't
uh,
touched on excursions, Nate. Did you ever go on any excursions?
excursions. I did quite a few actually. I was actually good friends with the excursion desk. So
Mm,
apart from the regular excursion that you see is in the little booklet that you had,
mm.
there's actually a few excursions that were actually not listed. Were so like in the trial stages. You know, if it passes, onboard standards or whatever, then they would allow it.
Mm.
One, which is probably the best experience I'll ever have in my life, is skydiving.
Where did you do that?
That was in Key West.
Oh, okay. How high did you go up? It
You know what? I don't know how high it was, but it was pretty high enough.
was high enough to get. It
Um,
was high
yeah,
enough to free fall.
yeah, free fall. So basically, you're free falling. I mean, basically, you're temp. You have the guy behind you.
Mm.
He has his harness strapped with you.
Yeah,
So basically,
you go tandem. You don't go by yourself.
no, 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 no. Yeah, I'm not ready yet. So yeah, basically, jump out. You're free falling for about 30 good seconds.
Mm.
You're doing a few spins and things like that, and then after a while, he'll pull his thing, and then the parachute will deploy, and then you're just like floating around, having a little chit chat with him for like another 15 good minutes. Overall, great experience. Something you'll never forget.
Nothing like that. But what about embarrassing moments? Was there any of those at sea?
Embarrassing moments, personal embarrassments, or like
You can choose one of each if you've got a story for both. Somebody else's embarrassment
I
is
don't know if
another person's game.
yeah. Okay, well, I don't know if you may have actually experienced or encountered one of this, but when like even on the formal nights in the atrium where there's like dancing, then usually the guy he prepared you guys with a camera crew, everything, and then he proposes on the in the atrium on the dance floor.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of those. Yeah, people would come on board and get married all the time, wouldn't they? And the captain would be the one to
Yeah,
do
well,
the.
yeah, he proposed, in front of a lot of people on the atrium on the dance floor.
Mm.
And it looks so convincing. He had prepared everything. Even had like some of the musicians actually play along. He was singing, whatever song. I don't remember what the song was, but everything seemed so good until finally she's down on one knee. Will you marry me? And she says no. He's like, bitch.
Thousands of people watching. Yeah. I mean, that
Yeah.
to me is like the worst idea for a proposal because it's like you're just putting so much pressure on that person to say yes. Unless you're certain, like it's a dead certain that they're going to say yes, then don't do that to another person because it's like, well, you're just really, they might, yeah, it could be really embarrassing. Exactly. Well,
And the
so
fact that
that,
it's on camera as well.
yeah, the
It's,
camera,
it's on camera as
yeah.
well.
I'd love to see that clip come back on the on the show somehow. If anyone has that clip, please send it in. What about you though? Did you do anything embarrassing? Have any scrapes with that sort of thing?
Thank God, no.
No,
I've
nothing.
been a pretty good boy when it comes to things like that. I was pretty much a good boy. Well, I mean, many times when people come to look through my cabin, they could never find me because usually I'm in somebody else's cabin.
Oh, I see.
Um, I'm not gonna say what I'm doing, but
It's all right. It's a given.
um, yeah. So anyway,
What about like the Filipino mafia and stuff like that? I know they exist, and it's not just the Filipinos. There's different organized crime networks within some ships. Have you ever come into anything like that? Or like not involved? I'm not suggesting that you are
um,
the Don Mafioso.
actually on Cornwall, I mean, there's a few Filipino mafia which I didn't really get too involved in, but on yeah, pretty much I need to get involved. If I don't get involved, I can't finish my contract.
I see. Well, that's that, isn't it? But like the sort of stuff that's going on, it's it's like it's its own economy below the waterline, just within the crew. And it's not like it's always vicious or there's dirty tactics at play. It's its own survival mechanism, right? It's sort of something like along those lines.
It's like this. Every like maybe once or twice a month, they have something called kambusa. Do you know kambusa?
Please enlighten me.
All right, kambusa is where crew members will line up, usually at the back of the ship where the F&B office is, and they can purchase drinks, both non-alcoholic and alcoholic drinks, to buy and then to keep in the cabin.
Oh, slop chest.
And then usually on they call it kambusa.
Okay. Subsidized prices for things like cigarettes and tobacco, alcohol.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
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 you
yeah.
can buy beer, spirits, things like that.
Okay.
Usually they don't allow this, but some ships they allow it to happen because there's this little underground business, whereas Filipinos, or actually any race, they would buy like literally a shitload of booze in order to sell on to make a profit.
What, within the crew?
Yep.
So they would buy all the stock and it would like they got the supplier, so then they
Sell it.
okay, yeah. Oh, that's not
Mhm.
very nice. The whole point of the price being cheap is so that the crew can afford to have it. But then if they buy all the stock that's for all the crew, where are they keeping it? They haven't got their own storage unit.
In the cabin. Trust me, they can hide a lot of shit in the cabins.
Yeah.
I mean, our cabins, you and I, we had staff cabins, which were a lot more bigger. Crew cabins are a lot more cramped, but yet they can hide like a few cases of beer very easily.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it, but since I work in housekeeping now, I
Hmm.
live pretty much in the same environment as they did. I never knew that I could actually hide cases of beer, wine, a lot of things.
Is that all they're stockpiling, or is there anything else going on?
Just pretty much that. There's cigarettes, Coke, Sprite, whatever, and then you have your wines, your water,
Hmm.
um, whiskeys, vodkas, tequilas, and all that.
Well, the only reason I asked you that was because I was going to lean into this question about side hustles, and obviously that was one of theirs. It's like,
Okay.
buying up the market. Did you have any side hustles, or were you always too busy? I mean, as a housekeeper, you've got 0 hours for anything at the time, pretty much.
I have a lot of side hustles. Usually, the offices that I clean, they ask me, just the usual things like, can you do my laundry and things like that? I'm no problem. Just pay me a few dollars, to do little side hustles, things like that. And then when it
Okay.
came to Kambusa,
Yeah.
I would dedicate at least 2 hours of my work time to go and with my trusty big trolley, which after I pick up all the items, sometimes I'd have to do at least like maybe 2 or 3 rounds, go back, pick up, deliver, go back, deliver, because that's how much booze they order for themselves.
Wow. So you're like, trying to figure the term. You're like the runner
Mhm.
for the mafia.
Exactly, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Technically, my position is they call it a valet runner.
Valet runner. Oh, yeah. It sounds a bit
Yeah, that
classier.
yeah, it does.
Do you have any nicknames, or have you been given any over the years?
When I first started working with Carnival, the college that I was on, now the trainer who was our trainer for the one good month, I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but I don't appreciate people because they don't have a name that's your regular name, your regular English Western style names.
Mm,
So if you see a funny name, you won't attempt to try to pronounce it. So I just, all right, I'll just call you whatever. So for that month of being in college, everybody called me Jackie Chan. Very
oh,
stereotyping.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then again, after I started working, I kind of worked kind of like Jackie Chan because I was very fast. I throw things around a lot, kind of like doing my own little stunts, if you know what I mean. When I'm working in the office by myself, grab this phone, grab this, going very
Yeah,
fast.
yeah, yeah. But
So
you weren't called that initially because you were fast. It was based on
no,
the
they just call
racial
me.
stereotype. Yeah, that's not fair. I ask everyone that question because some are self-depreciating, some are, self-inflicted, whatever, and some are just downright rude. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it exists at sea as much as it does anywhere. Because we had this whole spiel about, ladies and gentlemen, here on board, we've got over 52 different nationalities all working together in perfect harmony with one another every day, 7 days a week, 365. And if we could do that at sea, ladies and gentlemen, then why can't we do it in the real world? It's like, yeah, okay, hey, peace on earth, all goodwill to all men. But yeah, some of this stuff does seep in sometimes unconsciously. You mentioned earlier, Nate, about the ship we worked on and how we couldn't get into port one time. Did you ever experience in
Yeah.
your 14 years any serious, well, I think I already asked this, but like emergency situations? It's kind of a very broad spectrum again, of any kind. You obviously have bomb drills, fires, engine failures, terrorism.
Are you talking about abandoning ship?
I mean, anything that comes to mind.
Okay, let's go back to the magic because the ship is very magical to me.
Sure.
There was one time the ship actually left without me, and it wasn't my fault. We were docked in Cozumel.
Right.
We all know Cozumel. If you remember Cozumel,
Of
from where the
course.
ship docks, that long pier,
Yeah.
that long pier that you got to walk all the way to the very end. You go through the duty free,
Yeah.
and then the first bar restaurant is the was the Three Migos, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I couldn't confirm or deny that, but that sounds about right.
Okay, well, one time the ship was about to leave, and my duty is they call it pier duty, which basically I'm just walking up and down the pier with a radio, looking for people who haven't arrived yet. That's
Mm.
my job. And then we're about to leave, but then they're still like missing like two or three people. They said, "All right, on the radio, Nate, can you go back to Three Amigos see if there's anybody there?" Okay, so I run down, all down to the very end of the pier through the duty free, and then I arrive at Three Amigos, and then I'm seeing like the staff just like sweeping chairs up on top of the tables. Basically, they're closing already.
Mm.
So I'm like, radio, there's Nate here. There's nobody here. They're closing up the restaurant. And then it's like,
Nate, why are you still there?
I'm like, well, you told me to go check it. And my manager of my department.
Nate, turn around and have a look.
So I turn around, I see the ship like just leaving port. I
Oh
was like,
God.
oh, okay. You guys left without me, so what do I do? So what they did was, if you know, usually when you arrive into port, there's like a pilot boat
Yeah,
that that
that's
goes
what
alongside you, right?
I was about to say. That's probably what you had to do.
Basically, yeah, life jacket on a boat alongside the big cruise ship, and then
Mm.
hatch opens, climb up, boom, and then I'm in the captain's office explaining myself.
Did he give you a
Captain,
rollicking?
and the person kept like, Ned, why did you not get on the ship before? It's like, I was like, Capitano, it wasn't my fault. I'm just instruction. She said, go to the end of the pier. I did, and then you guys fucked off about me.
So you won't do a South African accent, but you'll do an Italian
So
one.
yeah, that was very easy.
Yeah, yeah. What did you learn from your time at sea that you wouldn't have learned if you'd have stayed on land?
That the world is a very, very big place. It's a lot bigger than it looks. Try to explore, go around. Cruise ships is, let's say that, okay, if you are able to work on cruise ships, go, apart from the money, go for the experience,
Mm.
because you're not going to get anything else. You're not going to experience anything else other than this. I mean, there's other, people in the industry where they work on land in hotels, they work on, airlines, but on cruise ships, it's a lot more different. It's just the overall feeling, the experience, the people, the culture, if you like.
Yeah,
It's just different. It's very unique.
of course. It's a melting pot, isn't it? It definitely broadens your horizons and opens you up to new ideas, new ways of life, new people from all over around the world. It's definitely what gave me my grounding in, being respectful towards people from other places.
I mean, I'll be completely honest. You're the first person I've spoken to from Cornwall since like I don't know how many it's been like what 10 years now, I think. And yeah, you're the first person who I've actually spoken to from Carnival.
Well, that's it. Once you leave the ship, there's no yearly reunion for all the members of the crew on this ship or that ship because everyone's too busy moving around.
No, no.
You said
That,
about the world being a massive place. That just goes to show you how quickly people move on. But when you go to somewhere like Cozumel and you're docked alongside another ship that, is full of crew, and then you're at the no-name bar and it's like, hey, how you doing? Then all of a sudden the world feels like it's a lot smaller.
yeah, it is. It is. I mean, actually, speaking of which, this contract I just came back from. I met a friend who is a musician who I met back in Cornwall. So like for like 10 years, I never knew this guy even existed anymore until I met
Mm.
him again on Prince is like, shit, he's still alive. Like, I mean, he changed a lot. I mean, it's been 10 years already. From once having black hair, he has now gray hair now. So yeah, overall, yep, you're still looking good.
Thanks very much. Can you see my grey in
The,
it? It's in the beard though, Nate. It's all in the beard. It's set.
yeah, that one I can see. I mean, usually Westerners they tend to age a bit quicker. Hmm.
That's it. With obviously talking about pollution and stuff and the sustainability of the industry as a whole, some people have seen stuff, some people haven't. So I wanted to ask that to you. Have you ever seen any illegal dumping or environmental practices being broken of any sort?
Here's the thing. Every time when a ship goes out into the middle of the ocean, there's a certain area of the ocean where the ship is allowed to dump certain types of liquids. Usually it's like also foods as well. I mean, all the food that we don't eat, the guests that don't eat, well, most of it is actually dumped out onto. Usually, if it's food that's biological, things like vegetables, fruits, things like that, or the meat,
Biodegradable.
that one they're allowed to dump. Yeah, but that's the word, biodegradable.
Mm.
But can only be dumped out at certain parts of the ocean, not anywhere.
Mm.
Because apparently, when you dump certain items in certain parts of the ocean, it may cross-contaminate the natural order, if you like.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I remember a few months ago, I was reading on my little news, Viking cruise ships, they were about to enter a port until when they arrived at port, the port officials, they have scuba divers to check under the ship. And the ship underneath was full of what's it, barnacles, the little like seashells, that thing that
Yeah,
cling
yeah.
onto, like on whales like that. The ship was like littered all over the bow. So they actually had to do a wet dock, not a dry dock, a wet dock for 3 days, with passengers still on board, yeah, to have it all removed
Wow.
because this barnacle is from another side of the planet. So by bringing it over to them, it may cross contaminate the ocean life.
Yeah. It's very delicate ecosystems and stuff. There
Hmm.
was it a crab or something, like little tiny crabs? Because when the ship takes the water in one port for
Hmm.
filling up the ballast tanks, and then it goes on its
Yeah,
journey, and then it displaces that water. When it draws that water in initially, it can suck up some small microorganisms and then reintroduce them into a new place that it wasn't meant for. So
yeah,
that's been a problem for many, many years. And with regards to the biodegradable food that you're talking about, where they can and can't dump it, I always am curious as to where they can do it. Obviously, where there's a lot of heavy built up marine life, then it's obviously not a good idea because our food is, churned up into a slurry and you don't know what
yeah,
you're eating. But it's been treated with pesticides and steroids and all these different things that's not part of a fish's natural diet. So if a fish was to eat that, it's called bioaccumulation. And that means it's going to inherit some sort of problem that it can't really do anything about. And if it's a small fish that eats that, and then the bigger
yeah,
fish eats that, then the bigger fish has now got that problem that that fish had and passes on up the chain, up the whole food pyramid.
yeah.
But yeah, I've not heard about the barnacles thing. That's interesting. I didn't know that barnacles really did anything apart from just kind of cling to the ship. But they're edible, aren't they? People do eat barnacles.
Apparently some do, and then like I said, that it can actually contaminate certain parts of the ocean, and depending on where in the world, it ends up.
Yeah. Imagine being a barnacle cleaner, just like spending ages underwater and just chiseling away loads of barnacles. I reckon that would be quite a rewarding job if you especially had OCD.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nice. Oh no, I've got all these barnacles. Yeah, no, that'd be quite satisfying. I think I've gone through most of the questions, Nate. If there was anything, obviously I know what you're doing now. You're working in the industry still, but if there's anything you'd like to
Yeah.
promote,
I'm actually starting a channel of my own right now.
hmm,
Still have a long way to go. But mine's completely different. It's completely different to what you're doing. It's more of it's a reaction channel, but it's a bit different to what you normally see. Like, first time watching this movie, and then mine is basically I've watched the movies. I'm just adding my little twist, my little twisted little humor to it.
Nate
But anyway, it's
reacts.
still in the works.
What kind of stuff are you
Nate's
reacting
Twisted
to?
Reactions. For now, I'm just doing movies, but I'm gonna do other things like other people's like videos, anything that trending topics, things like that.
Well, maybe you can do Nate reacts to Nate's interview on DeckTales.
Yeah, could do that.
You can react to yourself. I do see there's a growing trend in this sort of things. Reactionaries. It sort of makes them sound quite self-imposing. Like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a reactionary.
Yeah.
I like it though. Well, good luck with it. We'll drop it in. What's the name of the channel?
Right now it's called Nate's Twisted Reactions. For now.
For now. If it changes, we'll put it in the edit and let me know. How long are you off for?
Yeah.
Before you have to go back?
Well, right now my return flight is on the 5th of October.
Oh, okay. Day before my birthday.
Oh, perfect. Okay. We'll have a celebration before I go then.
Yeah. So you're going back for how many months? What's the contract length?
Contract would be I think it's gonna be like another 9 months again.
Another 9 months. That's a long contract.
It is bloody long.
Yeah.
It feels like years.
Yeah.
It
And
really
then
does.
do you ever get to that point with it? Like, well, I'm sure you have had what's known as the mid-contract blues.
I have that pretty much from the very beginning of my contract. I'm literally like already counting down how many days until I go home. That's how bad it is.
Wow. So what with obviously your past experiences working in a customer facing role, are you not able to get somewhere with that? Can't you go back into something along those lines with the company you're working for now?
The thing is that I can change departments. I do have the option to change departments, but then I've actually observed the guest services, or they call it purses.
Mm.
I've observed to see how they work, how the overall operation is, and I know that if I were to join the department, I know I'm not going to be happy. I know that it's not going to be how it used to be before, like with Cornwall. I mean, I know every single company have their own way of working, operating, but I can tell that it's too much by the book. I'm actually looking for another cruise company right now. And at the same time, I'm also doing my YouTube channel as well. So, whatever comes first, I'll just go that way.
Maybe go for smaller and, well, obviously not as commercial. I did a contract with Silversea. They were really good.
Oh, yeah.
I
yeah.
really did enjoy them, but I didn't see eye to eye with the hotel director. And he basically got rid of me for being too likable. Not formal enough.
Usually it's always management. Usually it's just management that ruins everything.
I had a really good relationship with everyone on that ship, except for the hotel director, who was ultimately the person that got me sent home. Well, no, just not re-employed. I think I got to the end of my contract as we went into wet dock in Barcelona, and rather than me hanging around for a week or two and then going into, what was it, Monte Carlo for the Grand Prix, I was sent home early. And I was like, oh, God damn it. I would have really liked to have gone to check out a Grand Prix. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But, you live and learn. Anyway, were there any other stories that you had that you didn't get the chance to say anything about?
Again, on the magic.
Oh.
Like I said, the magic is one magical ship for me. I can say that what happened to me, I literally dodged a bullet for this one. If you remember, I don't know if you were still working with Cornwall, there was one time where the Triumph, the ship, after it left Cozumel, the engine broke down and they were stranded for like 2 to 3 days.
You know about
power.
You know about the poop
The
cruise?
toilet didn't work. The poop, yeah, that one. Okay, here's what happened. When I was on the Magic, 2 crew members were fired. Basically, they went out on an excursion. They came back shit-faced, and then they were tested for being under the influence, so they got fired. So they sent me to replace them for like maybe half a cruise. So from the Magic, I transferred over to the Triumph. Once we arrived into Cozumel, that's where I transferred back to the Magic. The Triumph left Cozumel, and then boom, engine failure.
Oh, right.
That could have been me. That could have been me on that ship.
Yeah. Oof. You dodged a barrel of shit. You didn't dodge a bullet because that was awful. I read about that. They were stranded at sea. They had a fire that basically killed the engines in the middle of the night, early morning hours, and they were stranded, the Triumph, for 5 days at sea. They were advised, obviously, not to poo in their toilets in their cabins because there was no system to flush it. So they had to poop in
Yeah.
bags that the cabin stewards would bring around refuse sacks for them to poop in. And then the cabin stewards would come and collect it. They were advised to wee into the showers, so because it would
Down the drain.
down the drain. But then when the ship was just listing side to side, the urine would come out of the shower into the cabin, and the hallways stank awful, like really, really terrible. So the guests had no choice but to basically go and live out on deck. So they took all their linens and their bed covers and they made like a tent fort on deck and stayed up there until the engines were repaired. I think a helicopter came and dropped vital engine parts to help them get the engines going again. And all of the guests were given, I think it was about $500 in compensation, a free cruise, and that was it. But
Obviously.
what did the crew get for going the extra mile? Probably nothing. I don't know.
No, just another day on the job. That's what it is. Just another day on the job.
Yeah. They didn't get a free cruise, did they?
No, well, thanks fuck, I wasn't on that ship, so I'm happy.
Yeah. You did dodge a bullet, but a metaphorical one. And I remember reading that they said the guests were some guests were trying to sue for like emotional distress and blah 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 blah. And it's like, we gave
They're
you
just trying to make money. That's what it made.
Of course they are. The guests are within their rights to try, and it's like, it's the American way. I'm going to sue you.
Yeah.
You're so sued. But then obviously, like, the crew were the ones, suffering the same fate and picking up the literal shit to deal with it. So it's just funny. Like, obviously, when something like that happens, can you imagine if obviously it happened on an airplane? If you couldn't shit on an airplane, like, sorry, I've vacuumed. Everyone's just got to take it in turns to crap out the window. We've made a really small hole. That's our new suction system. But just whilst you're defecating, you must make sure to hold your arsehole as close together as possible. Otherwise, your guts are going to be pulled right out inside. That's our temporary fix. It's the best we have to do it. The crew have to do it as well. So we're all in the same boat here. But, a metal one in the sky. Nate, I have got nothing left for you in terms of questions. But if there's more stories that you've made note of, just keep firing them out until we run out of time.
I think I'm actually out of information, out of stories.
Well, until after your next contract, you'll have a whole new episode, I'm sure.
Well, there's gonna be a party. Don't worry.
Is there gonna be a party?
No, I'm saying that when I come back from my next contract, there's definitely going to be a part 2 to this one.
Oh well, yeah, it might be an uneventful one, but hopefully for your sake, it's just smooth sailing, and there's an open opportunity for you to progress within the career. And I wish you all the best with that, and I hope you don't get too overworked. But more than anything, thank you for being on the show and for giving us an insight into what it's like working behind the front desk and then going from that to working in housekeeping, because that's quite a change up. Not many people would work it that way around. If anything, my friend Archie that I worked with, he was once in the laundry room. That was his first 2 contracts, I think. And he managed to work his way up to the front desk. And, that's what, I was surprised at that. But when you said that you went from the guest desk to housekeeping, that's like they're 2 ends of the spectrum, It really is. So I know you said that you're getting paid a lot better, and that's always good. Are you saving that money, or are you just spending it?
Some is spending, some. I'm saving most of it, but some pretty much. You probably know that I'm a valid, loyal member of the crew bar. I'm there every day, having 2 to 3 beers every night.
If you work that many hours, you're entitled to some enjoyment. I think I might enjoy something this evening as well, because I've been working my arse off, and I just got a message to say I've been paid for all the IKEA furniture that I built these last few days. So I might enjoy.
Okay.
I might indulge in a bottle of wine or something. We loved catching up with you today, Nate. I really appreciate you coming on. But thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it. It's been wonderful.
All right, Sam. Well, good seeing you again.
Yeah, man. And good luck with your next contract. I hope things go well for you.
All right.
All the best, brother. I'll see you when I see you.
Take care.
And yes, thanks again. Much appreciated.
All right, Sam, take care of yourself, yeah?
Nice one. So there you have it. That wraps it up for this episode of DeckTales. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been entertained by the tales of laughter, camaraderie and the occasional stormy sea, then don't forget to subscribe, rate and leave a review. Your feedback helps us to navigate the podcasting waters and continue bringing you these fascinating stories. Before I sign off, if you'd like to share your own stories for future episodes, then I'd love to hear from you. Simply get in touch over the socials, because after all, the best stories often come from our listeners. As we navigate through the waters of life, remember to enjoy the journey as much as the destination, as well as those you choose to share the adventure with. I've been your captain, Sammy Catlin. Until next time, fair winds, smooth sailing, and may your adventures be as unforgettable as those shared here on DeckTales. Bon voyage!